This is Brian Hurd with Be Heard in Utah, and this is one of hundreds of commonly asked questions about real estate in Utah. And today's question is, I'm planning to buy a house in the next 6 to 12 months. What should I do right now? Well, this is a really good question because oftentimes people don't realize that the things that they do even a year out from buying a house will greatly affect their ability on not only purchasing the house, but the interest rate and other things that they get. So the first thing I tell people to do is meet with a loan officer. As crazy as that sounds, it's really important because a loan officer, what they're going to do is they're going to sit down with you, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to pull your credit. Now, why is that important? Well, your credit score is directly going to relate to the rate you're going to be able to get. The lower your credit score, that thing can affect your rate and make it the difference between being able to get the house you really want and maybe not. And they're going to look at like your debts and how to pay off your debts. Obviously, we want to pay off our debts as much as possible because when we buy a house, we don't want to have that lingering whatever debt chasing us. The bigger thing too is that when they pull your credit, they can sometimes find things on your credit that you may not even be aware of. I had a really good friend where he was going to buy a house and he was like a year out, and I said, hey, let's get you in contact with a lender and help you out. We pulled their credit. Well, they ended up having this blemish on their credit because when they had their kid in college, they moved and they never got a couple bills from the hospital. And we're talking like small bills, like $100 to $200 bills that they never paid. And then they got these dings on their credit because the hospital ended up turning them in. You know what I mean, right? So they have these negative things. We had to work those things out. If they would have waited till right before to buy a house, they wouldn't have been able to remove those things, and it would have greatly impacted their credit score like it did at that time. The second thing is meeting with a real estate agent, because even though you're that far out, we can start to set up searches for areas that you're interested in. And because people are always sold on a location before they're sold on an actual house. And so they'll come to us and say, I'm thinking about buying a house. I'm 6 to 12 months out. But if I was going to buy a place, these are the areas that I'm interested in. Great. We can set you up on searches for those areas specifically. And you can start to see trends in those areas. You can start to see when housing prices are picking up or when they're slowing down or when price adjustments are being made. So by the time that it does come time for you to make a choice, you'll know really well, hey, that house I remember 3 months ago sold for this, and this one was just listed, and you start to become kind of an expert in the neighborhood, and it helps you get out of your own way, because sometimes people have to learn the hard way to lose a couple houses before they realize, hey, we're in a buyer's market or we're in a seller's market, even though we tell them that. We love you guys, don't worry. The third thing that I would tell someone that's thinking to buy a house 6 to 12 months out from right now is I would just say get some clarity on what you want. Because when you're clear on where you're going and what you want, decisions start to become easier. And this is all the difference between working with a real estate consultant and just a real estate, Joe Schmo agent that does it on the side and sells a couple houses every year. People take the time up front, like our team, to really help you understand what's important to you. Then we can actually help you better. That makes sense, right? And so these are things that we do, even if you're 6 to 12 months out, that you can do right now that can make it a lot easier when it does come time to buy a house. And in some instances, people found that it's actually economically makes more sense to not wait the full 6 to 12 months, and they end up shortening that period of time because they realize that housing prices are going up, or they see that interest rates are starting to go up, and so they realize how that affects their overall ability to get what they want. So once again, Brian Hurd, your trusted voice in Utah real estate with Be Heard in Utah, giving you guys some tips that would help a home buyer that's 6 to 12 months out from buying their first home. Thanks, guys.